You used to have a routine. You knew which machines were open at 6 a.m. Your pre-workout flavor was on autopilot. Then life happened and it's been 3 months. 6 months, a year. Now walking back into that gym feels like showing up to a party where everyone knows you bailed. If that tightness in your chest feels personal, you're not broken, you're just human. And your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you from perceived social threat. Welcome to the psychology of comeback shame. Here's the thing: that resistance isn't laziness, it's not lack of discipline. Society calls it getting back on track, psychology calls it identity threat response. You're not just walking back into a gym, you're walking back into a version of yourself you're no longer sure you have access to. And your brain is screaming, what if they notice? What if you fail again? You're caught between two versions of yourself: past you who could deadlift twice a week, current you who gets winded going upstairs. It's like showing up to a high school reunion 30 pounds heavier, hoping nobody notices, except the reunion is every day. You don't just go to the gym, you become gym person. When you stop, you don't lose a habit, you lose an identity. Psychologists call this identity discontinuity. The gap between who you were and who you are now, and your brain hates that gap. It feels like proof you were faking it all along. Your brain says everyone's going to notice. Everyone's going to judge. The truth? Nobody cares. The regular on the bench press? Thinking about his own form. The person on the treadmill? Fully dissociated, watching The Office for the fourth time. But your brain operates under the spotlight effect, the bias that makes you think people pay way more attention to you than they do. Real talk, the person judging you hardest is you. And they're not even in the building, they're in your head, running a highlight reel of every time you quit halfway through. You don't just want to go back, you want to go back perfectly. Same numbers, same pace, same intensity, and because you can't do that, you don't do anything. It's refusing to text an old friend because you can't write the perfect apology. So you just don't, and the gap gets wider. Psychologists call this all or nothing thinking. Because perfect restart doesn't exist. No magic Monday, no ideal conditions. You either go back messy or you don't go back at all. The only way out: show up badly, do 20% of what you used to, and call it a win. You're not just afraid of judgment. You're afraid of confronting what you lost: strength, endurance, confidence. Your brain feels lost twice as intensely as gain. That's loss aversion. The thought of struggling through a workout you used to crush feels unbearable. But here's the reframe: you haven't lost that person. You've paused being them. The muscle memory is still there. You're not starting from zero, you're starting from dormant. And dormant isn't dead. Sometimes the shame isn't about the gym. It's about what it represented. Maybe it was where you felt in control, where you proved you weren't lazy, weren't weak. When you stopped going, you stopped having proof. Ask yourself, is going back about getting healthy? Or proving something, about feeling strong, or escaping feeling weak? If the gym is where you go to outrun shame, you'll always be running. And eventually, you'll stop. Again, you're not broken. You're not lazy, you're not a failure. You're a human with a nervous system protecting you from embarrassment, from loss, from hard truths about time and bodies. Here's the reframe: you don't have to go back as who you were. You can go back as who you are: awkward, out of breath, 40 pounds lighter on the bar, and still showing up. That's not weakness, that's courage in a hoodie. What's the one thing that would make walking back and feel 1% less terrifying? Drop it below.